What's up, everybody? Welcome to the channel. I wanted to make this video because camera angles are a must-have setting, right? You have to have it right, otherwise just the game doesn't feel good. It could be a great game, but you have that uncomfortable feeling from the start and you start making mistakes. And that's because each player has a vision, right, for what they want in particular to be focused on. So a dribbler wants to be up close and personal so they can see every little angle they have to beat a defender. A proper defender wants a tight angle so they don't get beat by the defenders, right? Pass heavy type of player wants further back so they can see the most of the pitch they can, while also being able to dribble without kind of having their angles thrown off. And then you have, I'd say, like a balanced type of player that wants close-up angles for defending and even one-on-one attacking so they can find little holes to exploit. And then they also want a little further back so they can properly see all their passing options, right? Obviously, dribblers take more advantage of the mini-map, whereas if you're further back, you don't have to use the mini-map as much. But when you're in those one-on-one circumstances or even one-on-one defending, it can be misleading and you can get beat or get stopped just because you didn't see certain holes, certain angles from the view of which you were attacking or defending. So that's what we're going to go over today. And this first camera angle is, I feel like, a good best of both worlds type of angle, but you do have to get used to the motion. And some of these camera angles have more motion to them. You'll see what I'm talking about shortly, but you just go to settings, camera, and you can go through all these yourself. First things first, the Ultimate Team competitive camera. I don't know why they put it separately like this, but you can adjust the height and the zoom just like you would. You see, if you pause, you can go into a squad battles game or a regular game, but I would do squad battles because there's no time limit, obviously, right? And you can mess with the height and the zoom to that. And I actually like this. You can see a lot of the pitch, which is what they wanted, but then they also wanted to immerse you into the crowd, right? And they did a good job, without a doubt. They did a good job. As you see here, this is what you would see. But there is a lot of screen that's taken up now by the crowd, and that has nothing to do with how you play on the pitch. So if you want, let's say you're playing, career mode or player mode, this would have been a perfect camera angle. I don't know why they only allowed it in Ultimate Team. They should have just gave it the name Ultimate Team competitive, camera, but put it for offline too, because this would have been great for offline. You want to be immersed, right? It's more about feeling like real football, playing like real football, and that's what this does a perfect job of. But when you're competing, especially particularly in Ultimate Team, not to say there aren't some players that still won't enjoy this angle, but it's more about making everything the most effective, the most precise for what you want to do, which is compete and win. And that's where this much screen that has nothing to do with your players or the pitch, it's not going to be optimal. So for that reason, I'm not going to go into that one, right? If you like it, you like it. We'll disable it though. And we're going to start with tactical. You see the difference. Pretty close, but instead of a straight on angle, it's like a centered camera. So when you're to the left of the goal, you're going to have to kind of look a bit to the left. When you're to the right of the camera, I should say, not the goal, you're going to have to look a bit to the right. You see how the camera's centered here. Whereas the Ultimate Team competitive camera, it follows the play up and down the pitch. So you're always looking straight on. So this tactical camera, there's going to be a bit more motion. Some players won't like it, but other players will like the angle a bit better. And you see the difference too. More screen for the pitch. That's the most important part for competitive players. More screen for the actual action that matters. So we'll disable it. We'll go into tactical. I personally like 15.5. You see the height all the way. There's not much of a difference, just a slight variation. And then I go 5 zoom. Again, not much there. If you zoom all the way in even, you still got a pretty good view of the pitch, but you take away that near side, right? So I like 5 because I felt it gave me 15.5 for the height, 15 zoom 5, because I felt it gave me the best of both worlds, right? With dribbling, with seeing all the angles I could get beat, or on the other side I could beat defenders, as well as seeing all my passing options. So let's get into it. And like anything, you're going to have to get used to any camera angle that's new, right? If you're used to the new Ultimate Team camera, you're going to have to get used to co-op. Or if you're used to co-op, you have to get used to tactical, whatever it is. But here you go. Tactical camera angle. Now watch as I'm in the center, so it's pretty straight on. But watch as I attack. You'll see what I'm talking about with the motion, right? So you see the camera is turning, but staying in the central area. It's not moving with the ball up the pitch like the competitive camera does. And so you get these different distances. That's the motion part that might throw some players off. But look how many players you could see across the pitch, right? I would say this is the better version of the Ultimate Team camera angle. Now, full disclosure, I wish that this camera followed the action down the pitch instead of staying centered, right? Because then you wouldn't have to even get used to the motion. You would be looking straight on every single time. That's the one area. But look at all the passing options. I rarely have to look at the mini camera. I can just use that bottom, and I'm perfectly set up. But I'm already getting used to it, and this is like third, fourth game in. And the reason why I like this, right, while it's fresh in your heads, we'll go in and we'll go to the other popular camera angle, which is co-op. So we go to camera, we go to single player, we go to co-op. So real quick, just so you can see tactical, you see it's a little bit further back, players are smaller, but you can see more of the pitch. Co-op, right? You're way closer up. Now I want you to notice the difference in the players you could see, right? In co-op, you can barely see Palmer going to celebrate. You can see the three players. You can just barely see past the near side 18, okay? Tactical, you're at an angle, but you could see more of that near side. You can fully see not only Palmer celebrating way ahead, but look, that's 3 extra players in the camera. Look at number 7 there. There's 3 players ahead of him all the way to the corner. You can see all the way to that sideline. Now look at co-op. You can just barely see number 7, so there's 3 players ahead of him. That's what you don't want. However, if we adjust the height and zoom, typically that's about the height you would go, right? There's full, there's 0, we'll go 15, and some go 0, some go about 5. I like about 12.3 is what I do. Or I've been trying 10.0 as well. So we'll go straight into this, and let's look at the benefits of co-op. Now the first thing you're going to notice is the entire screen essentially is the pitch. Just a little bit of that backside of the screen, the far side, is not the pitch. But for dribbling, you can see this would be great, right? You're pretty up close and personal. You can see every little movement. There's no angles you're going to miss, okay? So that's a good part. But you still have to use the mini-map a decent amount, right? When you have the ball back, your attackers furthest up the field are out of camera angle. Now, the reason why this matters, even if you're not passing to them exact or directly, the reason why this matters is because sometimes you can see passing patterns ahead that just don't translate on the mini-map, right? When you see that blue, for me it's a triangle, and my yellow, red circles, I can't see exactly where the defender's at when it comes as it pertains to my attacker. When I could see directly on the pitch instead of a mini-map, it's just much better. So that's just one of the things that I like about tactical as opposed to co-op. But you see here, you have way more detail when it comes to dribbling. You're way tighter, you're closer up, there's less motion, right? Because the camera, notice it follows the ball. So it stays straight on. I wish tactical did that part too. That's the biggest complaint that many players would have. However, it's not too bad. Now, there's other angles that you could use too that aren't as popular. Co-op's the most popular. For a while, tele-broadcast was popular, and then lately it just hasn't been as popular. So we'll go to tele-broadcast. We'll keep the 10.0 for height and zoom. But I remember for a while, it was this or co-op, right? And co-op was more like for the pass-heavy players, you want to see all the pitch. And this tele-broadcast was for the dribblers, right? They wanted to see every skill move. They wanted to see every little hole they had that they could possibly split the defense and run through. And it does help for 1v1 defending as well. It really does. But it's like a must to use the mini map in this case. Okay, it is a must. And I personally think it's best when you don't have to use the mini map nearly as much. But there you go. That's telebroadcast. There's no doubt there's some players out there that will like this, right? If you don't mind using the mini map at all, or you have a good instinct for where your players are at, this is great because, again, this is the best for 1v1 defending. I mean, there's closer ups, obviously, but this is the most practical and good for 1v1 defending, for seeing up close and personal all the skill moves, all the little holes you'll have to go through, or that you have to defend on the other side, right? Works on both sides of the ball. It's just not as good for seeing all your open players on the pitch. And again, you could go all the way zoomed out, all the way up. You can mess with the height and the zoom, but this is generally what you'll see with telebroadcast. And just to show you some of the other ones, there's tele. So telebroadcast a little more up close. There's tele. It's a little too over the top down the center, you can see. So it never really gained traction, right? You could see why telebroadcast did. And again, each year they add some cameras. I believe the tactical was added fairly recently too. Some of these have been around forever, like the NN and pro stuff. Obviously, that's more for be a pro or be a pro player, whatever. Broadcast, just too close and at an angle. I mean, if you were playing be a player career or whatever, where you're only worried about one player, that could be pretty good actually. A little further out view of just your player. Legacy, this is another one that doesn't seem bad at first, but once you go in, right, it's just not optimal. If I was going to use this, I would go ahead and just use telebroadcast, because it's kind of the worst of both worlds. It's not real up close and personal, but it's not all the way pushed back to you. So you still are going to have to use the camera angle quite a bit, or the mini map quite a bit, as opposed to, that's where each of these cameras comes in handy, right? You're not super close for one-on-ones and stuff like that, but you're also not far enough away to where it really makes a difference on the amount of players you can see. And here we are back with tactical, right? So as you're scrolling through, I mean, maybe you do end up liking a camera angle that I just don't see working, right? What I think works doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to like it. I just like the idea of being able to see my whole team, and this is close enough for me. Like if I take this defender on one-on-one, I could see perfectly. I could see that split through the center backs here, right? And this, for sure, just look at that angle. I could see all the way to midfield. Now watch that same exact spot, and look at now. So you see co-op here, tactical here. Tactical, co-op. I always try to look at the edges, look at the players, right? If I go co-op, look all the way to the top left of the screen, you see a wing back in black. You see on the near side, a player in black on the bottom left of the screen, right? Just on the top where it says single player camera, over the top you see a player in black there. You see the linesman on the near side in the orange there. So now let's go to tactical. Linesman, I see the full back line, pretty much, missing maybe a few, right? The single player, the player above that, now you see even more across the pitch that player is not even showing up there behind there, because you can see even more behind them. So they didn't disappear out of the picture there. They're more in the picture. So for me, this is without a doubt the go-to. Without a doubt. Some people might say it's too far away, and some people might not like the motion, but for me, this is huge. Now, once you get used to it, you're not going to get it's not going to be one of those camera angles, because there are some that exist like this where it feels good, and then you get into a competitive game and you just don't like it, right? You just got to get used to it and do what I'm doing and playing squad battles and whatnot, but the right camera angle can absolutely make a difference. And I've seen it before where I think I was using actually telebroadcast a few years ago when it was still a popular camera angle to use. And when I finally made the change, I believe it was to co-op, it was night and day. It made such a difference, right? But even then, I had to play several games to get used to it. Now, the one thing to note is that those players that use other stadiums besides Ultimate Team Stadium, which, by the way, I hate that it's kind of a rat thing to do, and it's a rat thing to do because you can't use it in champs. You could use it in rivals, you can't. So players will use those different angles only for, or sorry, different stadiums only for one reason, because on their side they've adjusted their cameras to match up with the given stadium. On your side, your camera adjustments could throw you way off because certain stadiums have different camera setups. Now, I like that idea, but what I don't like is that players can essentially use it to give you an advantage in a game. That's silly, right? They got to make it where, for one, you don't have to just use the Ultimate Team Stadium for, all of champs. You should be able to buy a stadium and use it, but you should be able to have that exact camera angle that you want. It shouldn't vary. It's a cool concept, except for the fact that that shouldn't be a part of a skill gap. Like, oh, you're not used to using this camera angle, you're going to get toast, It's not even about you changing, you'll have your same camera setting. It's just about how the camera's set up in that stadium, right? So you might go to Old Trafford, and what you see here with the same camera settings will look totally different in Old Trafford, but then will also look totally different in Stamford Bridge or the Bernabeu or wherever, right? So it's just worth looking into. Best thing to do, go through yourself, right? My vision, what I like to see, is going to be different from yours. I just wanted to give you my favorite cameras as well as how I kind of break them all down. The best play to do it, again, is squad battles. Pause, go to camera, start switching things up, play a little bit, and if you really like something catches your eye, keep playing squad battles with it, get used to it, and decide if you want to use it in competition or not. Hopefully this was helpful. If it was, please smash that like button, and if you haven't, please subscribe, because we have tons more content coming your way for FC26 and really just all of football, because that's what we are, football fans at heart. Have fun. See you soon. Peace out.